Bob, it's great to be here with you. And, I'm looking at the economic outlook from all perspectives of the economy. But for the manufacturing sector, we've seen so many different issues hit it. How can manufacturers think about dealing with the logistical issues we're currently facing? And what do you see as sort of the big issues they should be focusing on right now?
I think maybe let's talk about a couple specific things that I think are kind of maybe bellwethers or kind of indicators of what manufacturers can do. And one that comes to mind is around semiconductor and chip manufacturing. And I think one of the things that I'm seeing, and just recently, Intel just announced they're investing, I think the number is 33 billion in Europe for
Yes.
foundry capacity, and they made a similar announcement a few months ago about North America, or at least the United States. I think that what Intel is doing is sort of the quintessential sort of strategy of how to start alleviating some of these supply chain, I'm not even going to call them supply chain disruptions anymore. It's more around supply chain security and making sure you know where your raw materials and supply chains are going. Are they redundant enough? Are they secure enough? Are they reliable? That's what manufacturers really need to kind of have top of mind. And so I think what Intel is doing around their sort of 5-10 year strategy is really what is a really good sort of business case for manufacturers across all of the manufacturing industries up and down the supply chain. Can kind of use as an example to to emulate.
Well, it's interesting because the regionalization of supply chains that you're talking about is one that we have been seeing that regionalization, although what's been so unique about the pandemic has been that even though there has been this pressure on supply chains, that actually China now plays a larger role in the global supply chain than it did before the pandemic. So, I hear a lot of talk about it, and you're talking about these big investments that are being made, but that's still a 5 to 10 year kind of time horizon, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
how do manufacturers think about sort of hedging their bets? And another issue that comes to mind in this area is, during February of 2021, we saw the power outage in Texas, which actually shut down 2 chip plants overnight that took months to reopen. Sort of how do we even deal with on a regional basis? Even if you've got a chip producer in your backyard, I guess you've got to wait for that to happen, right? And then secondly, how do you sort of hedge against that risk?
These are structural issues. It's going to take, months, if not years. Like back to the Intel example, right? Those foundries are not coming online for at least 18 to 24 months. I think we're going to end up sort of limping through like we've been limping through to date with the port closures, with Omicron in China. Like these things are very structural in nature, and they're not going to be changing overnight. Now, I was at the National Association of Manufacturers board meeting last week, and I had a conversation with the CEO there talking about supply chain rationalization. And what was interesting, what this individual was talking about is we've spent, pick a number, 15, 20, 30 years consolidating our supplier base. So instead of having 10 suppliers producing a part, you get it down to 1 or 2. A lot of manufacturing companies went down this path of consolidating spend, so you get that, so you get the economy of scale or the purchasing power. And that's the wrong way to think about it. You should think about it as absolutely one dimension, but the way is a hard lesson learned now because hindsight's 2020. But the hard lesson there is it's not just purchasing power, and it's not just consolidation of that spend. It's the security and reliability and the quality of that supply chain consolidation that should really be first and foremost.